We've talked in several videos about how to be lazy in Spanish, but this video is about how to be bossy in Spanish. In this video, we're going to talk about affirmative tú commands. A command is affirmative if it's telling someone to do something, like listen to the teacher or clean your room. To form an affirmative tú command in Spanish, all you have to do is conjugate the verb you want to use in the el, ella, usted form in the present tense. Here are some examples in Spanish. Limpia la mesa, from the verb limpiar, which means to clean. Lee el libro, which is from the verb leer, which means to read. And sirve la comida. This verb is servir, and you have to be careful because it has an I to I stem change in the el, ella, usted form in the present tense. But as long as you take the el, ella, usted form in the present tense, you'll always end up with the right command. Well, except for the irregulars. Just like any other tense in Spanish, we have irregular tú commands. But the good news is that they're the usual suspects. These are verbs that are pretty much irregular across the board. Most of these verbs are what we call go verbs, or yo-go verbs, so they have that go in the yo form in the present tense. Here are the big irregular affirmative tú commands. Venir es ven, decir es di, salir es sal, hacer es haz, tener es ten, ir es ve, poner es pon, ser es se. For most of these, at least the ones that are go verbs, all you do is take off the go. Oh, one more. If you take off the go, you'll end up with the command form. The other ones, you just have to memorize. Sorry. But there's a helpful trick to help you memorize these verbs. You can think of bendizo has 10 weapons, eh? So using commands is pretty easy, but it gets a little tricky when we start adding in pronouns. These could be reflexive pronouns, direct object pronouns, or indirect object pronouns. They all work the same way. Here are the rules. So if you want to form a command with a pronoun, the pronoun always goes at the end of the command, and it's all bunched together as one word. So if you wanted to say, tell me, you would use the irregular affirmative tú command of decir, which is di, and then you would add me, the indirect object pronoun, to the end of the verb. Then, this is where it gets really tricky. You put an accent where the original emphasis would be. What I mean by that is, if you just had the conjugation compra, you can hear that the emphasis is on the O. Compra. And so adding the me to the end messes with the natural flow of the word. And you need to stick an accent over the O to keep the original emphasis. In other words, without the accent, this word would be comprame. But we want to keep that original compra. So we put an accent on the O so that it's comprame. The same thing with this verb, cepillar. If you just had this without the te, you would say cepilla. And so we want to keep that emphasis on the I. We want it to be cepilla instead of cepillate. So we slap an accent on the I to keep that original emphasis. All the pronouns work the same way. You can put direct object pronouns here, you can put indirect object pronouns here, you can put reflexive pronouns here. They follow the same rules. You just have to remember to attach it to the end of the verb, or the end of the command, and you need to put an accent on the original emphasis. Whatever syllable has the emphasis when you don't have a pronoun at the end of the command.
Dime mi amor que me amas. Porque tú sabes muy bien, tú sabes.